What you're about to hear will inspire, entertain, and keep you cheering for more. Youth baseball and softball players, coaches, and fans from around the globe join Coach Aaron and the field team on their journey to make the game even more fun and even more exciting than ever. From mound visits to dugout stories and game-changing plays, we bring you tips and stories from players, coaches, trainers, and more. Now. Make sure you've got your eye black ready, and let's slide into the action. On the count of 3, let's hear a big, loud play ball. 1, 2, 3.
Play ball.
There we go. How was that?
Good. Good.
Yeah, you liked it? All right.
Good.
We get thumbs up and we're ready to roll. So welcome into 2024. We're in season 4 of the Slide Podcast, and I'm Coach Aaron. Today, my co-hosts are Lila Brickwall Bratch and Mr. Banana Jake. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You and I were in DC last week for ABCA.
Yeah.
You call it ABCA. That was a new one for me when I started watching the videos. But anyway, like, Jake, I think I wore you out.
I don't know if it was you or the people.
That was the combination of walking and talking right there, Lila. Like, during day 1, he had to take a break. Yeah, he did. And now I will say he had to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning in order to get there when he did. So I'll give him that. He was tired. But I was walking him out and making him talk to a lot of people, and he got to meet some really cool people out there. Didn't you, Jake?
Yep.
Who'd you get to meet that was fun for you?
Chips.
Yeah.
Hitting done right.
Yeah.
Who else?
Who else?
We miss Johnny Gomes.
I know it, dude. We got home. And then I started seeing all these pictures of, well, of course, Gomes was there. Mo Vaughn was there.
I see Mo Vaughn all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't. That's still a big deal to me. Don't dismiss it like that. Now, Mo Vaughn was a big deal in my era. Now, he wasn't Big Papi, but I mean, he was my version at my age. But anyway, I started seeing all these different people, and then some kids that we follow. Like I saw them. I saw one of the kids that we follow was in the oh my gosh, they'll kill me if I can't remember the name of it, but the box that shoots the baseballs up. You know what we hit off of there at the beginning? I will say I hit that ball good. Because Josh Cathcart hitting done right. He was standing over to the side. I didn't know, and he was watching. He was about ready to rag on me, and he's like, I saw that. I'm like, that. Good. I redeemed myself from last year. I hit the box last year.
Oh, man.
So don't say anything, Lila. I don't practice like you. You don't know.
I didn't say anything. I just said
you were locked and loaded and ready to go. Anyway, Lila, what's been new in your world?
nothing much. I just saw you like 2 days ago, so nothing really much since then.
We recorded.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, guess what? We get to redo that episode.
Oh.
Yeah, they had some technical difficulties, and we weren't able to figure it out. So we're doing it again for next Wednesday. So
I liked those kids. It'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be good, and they'll be hopefully a little bit like confident.
Yeah.
Next time. So
yeah.
Anyway, so nothing new. Anything in the sports world for you, Lila, that sticks out?
Nope.
No.
I've been going to the gym recently.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
So yeah, it's this gym. It's called The Yard. It's like this guy. It's like a baseball specific gym. He writes all the programs and stuff, and you just come like 2 times or 3 times a week. And yeah, you just show up, ball out. It's really fun, honestly.
What are you doing there?
It's like mostly for me, since I'm a catcher, it's a lot of squats and deadlifts and like leg stuff. A lot of rotational workouts, since like baseball needs rotational workouts. That's why like the big thing about why it's like baseball specific.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool there, man.
Well, I will say, so we had a gentleman on that was a power weightlifter Daniel Marks on the show.
Mhm.
Lila was the co-host, and it was so great, the information that we got. Lila actually went out and found a gym in her area,
Mhm.
and is now taking his advice. I guess you agree with him a little bit, Lila.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Is the workouts hard?
Yeah, they're pretty hard. They're like
Yeah.
about an hour long, and it's just because I only go twice a week, so it's full body every single time. But yeah.
Look, just thinking about doing squats makes me tired. So I did hear something though, like over 40 men shouldn't be squatting, and I'm like, yes, that is great. But that's
you waited until you were 40 to read that, huh? He had to save.
I should have read that thing 7 years ago. Is what I should have done at 40. Maybe my back wouldn't feel the way it is. So, all right. Well, look, let's get to our guests. So, joining us tonight, MLB Player Association-certified agent, Joe Guzman. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. We ask all of our guests this, and just tell us a little bit about your background, and at the end of it, we want to know your favorite cereal.
Favorite cereal? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Something I have to think about. So yeah, I'm an MLB certified agent. I currently represent 20 players with different major league organizations, mainly in the minor leagues. A couple of guys that have made it up to the big leagues. And really, I started this journey because in college, after my junior year, they found a cyst underneath my brain, and I had brain surgery. And after that surgery, it was very eye-opening for me. And I realized, I was going into my senior year of college at Florida Memorial University. I had attended some workouts and different things, and I just didn't have anyone in my corner to do what I'm doing now today. So, So now I'm able to, change a lot of lives. I've had 40 players drafted or signed since I've started doing this. I've had 7 players in my 2024 draft class that signed to different major league organizations. And it's really the most rewarding thing is calling them and telling them that they're about to be drafted or they're about to be signed or their contract, is ready for them. That's really what I do all this for. And, anyone in baseball, it's the beauty of baseball that, any kid can make it up to the big leagues. It's just a matter of work ethic and having the mental capacity to withstand a lot of the adversities that you're going to have and just continue to move forward and work towards your goals. But nothing's impossible in baseball. And that's why I really love what I do. And I love helping players move through high school, college, and minor leagues, and then eventually to the major leagues. So it's really rewarding.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, what's your favorite cereal?
I'd have to say it's a tough one. I'd probably say Lucky Charms if I had to choose. Yeah.
Lucky Charms? Like the marshmallows in there.
Yeah. It's been a while. But
you know what? That's what we have found is you're never too old for some cereal. And I'm a Fruity Pebbles fan. Lila's a Frosted Flakes. And Jake, I don't even remember. I know you don't eat cereal, but you did claim one at one time, I believe. You don't claim in a set today? Okay. Anyway, all right, Joe. Well, look, man, I can only imagine the life that an agent plays. But I mean, I've seen all the movies, of course, the supposed behind the scenes, the life of an agent and, watching Ballers, and then you had Moneyball and all these different things. How close to real are those movies and TV shows?
they're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes behind the business of baseball, the relationships that you have with certain teams, the people that you establish relationships with, and you kind of grow with them too at the same time. Sometimes guys are area scouts and then they move up to be cross checkers and then scouting directors. Obviously the draft is like the first step. Once you get into pro ball, it's like so many other things going on. You're being evaluated constantly by your own team, by all 29 other teams. And really it's a crazy world. It's a crazy environment. It's very competitive. You have to establish very strong relationships, and it's It's deadly out there, man. It's tough.
It looks like it, man.
Yeah.
It looks like I guess the closest that I can compare, and you can laugh at me for this stupid comparison, but it's like the people that I know, like the life of the realtor. The phone's never off, and you're always available. And when something comes in, you've got to grab it, and because you're worried about the next person grabbing it. And I mean, again, stupid, comparison, but at least in my
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good comparison because you are on the phone constantly. You're taking phone calls about everything. It could be a player and his girlfriend, or a player and his family. His mom's sick. His wife's sick. His baby's sick. So it really becomes a strong bond, and you can't shut off. I'm up at all hours of the night sometimes, taking phone calls or texting guys on other sides of the world, and really it's a customer service industry. It's a service industry. Yeah. And if you don't have those relationships and you don't answer those calls, like you just said, somebody else will pay more attention, will go the extra mile for it. And as a player, you sometimes want that more. So
yeah, I can totally understand. Totally. Well, before I get too in the weeds, I'm gonna open it up to Jake and Lila here and let them grab a few questions here with you. You guys, whichever one you want to go.
I got one. So, this isn't really a question, but it's like kind of something pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I was looking through your Instagram to try to find some questions, and I haven't even told Aaron about this, but I saw a picture of you and my dude, Logan Clark. That's my guy. He's from my hometown. That's my dude. I just thought awesome. That was so weird.
Yeah, baseball's small world. Small world. Very cool. Yeah, baseball is a very small community, and there's so many interactions that we have like that, and it's crazy how many people know each other. And I run into someone in New York, and they know someone that I know in Texas, and it really is like the love of the game, and that's the beauty of baseball that I don't think any other sport has. It's just that camaraderie, and baseball never leaves you. You stop playing, and you're still doing something in baseball. Like you're coaching your kids' t-ball team, you're doing things, you're going to watch the local high school games. And I think it's that love and passion for the game of baseball that I don't think any other sport on the planet has. So
I agree.
It's a cool community.
It's almost like a brotherhood. I mean, and once you're a part of it, then you're kind of in that circle. So
absolutely.
Jake, what you got, bud?
So out of all the years you've been as an agent, what's your favorite experience you've had?
Favorite experience would be Randy Wynn getting his major league call-up. He was a player that went undrafted out of college. He had to go the independent league route. He dominated independent league, got signed by the Reds, and then last summer he made his debut. And it was just such an awesome story to see a guy persevere and never give up and defy all the odds, because once you're not drafted and you have to go to independent league, it's very tough to get signed, let alone make it to the major leagues. And they talk about it all the time. I don't know how many exactly. I think it's like 20 or 20 something thousand players that have ever played in the major leagues in the history of MLB. They can fit in one of the smallest stadiums for MLB right now. All of those players that have played since the beginning of Major League Baseball. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So to be a part of that and just get that phone call, I think it was like 1 a.m, and he has such an awesome story, and maybe I can get him on here for you guys to tell it, because it was so cool. Like 1 a.m. he calls me, and then he had to fly out like 6 a.m. He got there like right before game time, had to warm up, national anthem, and came in relief and did well. Faced the Braves lineup, which wasn't easy. So
that's a crazy 24-hour time period.
Yeah,
right
1 o'clock Sunday game. And
wow.
Yeah, so it was 1 a.m. Sunday around there when he was getting his stuff together to get on a flight early in that next morning. So getting that phone call, like I think I woke up my whole house. I was just so excited for him. Everyone woke up after that. So that's probably going to be the coolest phone call that you get. And then also some players that decided to retire and took jobs with major league teams. And I'm still the first phone call that they, I've decided to take this job coaching. for this major league organization. I had one of those recently. He's going to be coaching with the Marlins, and I got that phone call the same way, a guy will get called up to the big leagues. I kind of felt the same way. I was super excited for him because it's not easy to get a job in professional baseball either. So
Yeah.
Whenever you get those calls, like for me, that's the most rewarding thing. That's the best feeling in the world, being able to make an impact and just see how happy they are on the other line.
It's that's what, over the years, those type of situations have always been the best return,
Mm-hmm.
and just being able to tell someone that they've achieved something in their life, or, it's just, you can't put a price on it. I think it's incredible.
Absolutely.
So now, when you were in college, what was your major?
I was a business major. Business
major.
administration. I graduated with that degree.
Now, I've heard, do you have a law degree as well? Because I've heard most agents have a law degree.
Yeah, I do not, but we work closely with an attorney that helps us with things that we need in regards to arbitration, things like that. So you are still able to be an MLB certified agent without a law degree. You just have to have assistance on certain things or certain matters. But for the most part, 95% of the contracts I'm negotiating, handling the terms and things that are taking place there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. You have to know the market. You have to know what players are worth and really know what your players want as well, because sometimes it's not about the money in a certain place. Sometimes it's about being closer to a certain area. Sometimes they're happy with their major league team and they don't want to leave that team. They want to be with that team forever. So you really have to understand your client and go with, a lot of things that they feel comfortable with, and also give them the best advice.
Sounds like the opposite of Freddie Freeman's agent a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was some stuff there, but
now
you don't know unless you're in it, so I can't say for certain.
Oh yeah, don't step on any landmines there. Yeah, you just dodge that one.
Yeah.
So how, because this has taken over the sports industry world, NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now how does that play a role with you as an agent? Now, does that give you capability of now speaking to younger athletes? How does that work? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so NIL is really a completely separate thing for me, at least. Some agencies do handle NIL deals for players. For me, I'm more connecting brands to players, and they're more facilitating things. And also, I let them work more closely with the university because they have more. Every university has different guidelines and laws and rules, and I don't want to get tied into all that. But it has changed a lot of things, especially with college. In high school, they're allowing certain things, but really college is where it's the most lucrative, where they're making the most money, and that's really been the tough one, because it's pulling some players from different colleges, smaller colleges to bigger colleges, which is great opportunity for them. But at the same time, sometimes it's unfair to those smaller universities that maybe don't have that bandwidth to do the things that they're doing. But yeah, the most that I'm doing is connecting brands with players and seeing how they can facilitate things together, working through their universities with their compliance, make sure they're in compliance, because every university has, like I said, different rules and regulations on all that stuff.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, while they're still a college athlete, can they talk to an agent? Because I thought, at one point you could not have any conversations with agents. Has that changed?
So yes and no. The difference is you can't have an agent in high school. You can't have an agent in college. An agent is someone who can provide value to those players. And really the only thing that I can do is, from the outside looking in, is provide advice. I can only advise a player. So during the high school and college years, I'm an advisor to players. Once they sign professionally, then I would become their agent. So that's kind of the main difference. I definitely abide by all the rules. I don't try to go and do things that I shouldn't be doing. Of course, I'm very respectful of all those rules and laws. But really, it's more Q&A, right? It's like, what should I do for this? Or do you think I should play in this summer league? Do you think I should do this? And then obviously when you get closer to the draft, then the scouts will reach out to the advisor to find out information on the player. and maybe invite them to workouts and things like that. But
Gotcha.
it's you cannot provide anything of value as an advisor. You can't buy them, a water bottle. You can't take them in your car or drive them anywhere. All those things could be against NCAA rules and just amateur rules in general.
Oh yeah. Well, look, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan.
Awesome.
So I've learned, not myself, but through the mistakes of many others, what you can't do.
Yeah.
All right. They're a good example.
They're a good example of bad examples.
Unfortunately. Lila, you're up, ma'am.
All right, so earlier we were talking about that relationship with your clients, and how you have to have a strong relationship with them and you have to have their back. I'm wondering, how do you build that relationship and gain their trust?
Yeah, so it's a lot of different things. I would say communication is key. Phone calls, texts, checking in with them, holidays, birthdays. Once a player is a professional, I'm able to take them out to eat. I'm able to take them to do things and really interact with them and get to know them. When they're in spring training or they're playing throughout the season, I'm able to go and watch them play. And that's really how that starts. You establish that relationship and make sure that they have all their needs met. Maybe they need certain things and you're able to help provide those things, try to find them sponsorship deals, endorsement deals, which have become a lot tougher over the last probably 5 or 6 years. It's very, very competitive now. And a big part of that is because Nike is in the major leagues now in all their uniforms. So now that changed the dynamic for all the brand companies. So not to go down that rabbit hole, but all of those things are important, just taking care of your client and having that relationship and being there as a support person when they're struggling. That's one of the biggest things, checking in on them. If they go 0 for 10, in 3 games, and you may need to call them and just say, hey, man, how you feeling? What's going on? Or how's it going? Because sometimes they don't want to talk and they get buried in there. And if you don't talk to them for weeks, they're like, man, he doesn't even care. He doesn't even know what I'm doing. And that hurts them a lot, especially professional players, because they're by themselves. They're kind of on their own. There's not a real team environment in the minor leagues. The major leagues, yes, but the minor leagues, everyone's kind of for themselves competing, and it's a really hard environment. So just being a good support.
Yeah. Lively, could you do it? I think you could. I think you could. I mean, honestly, it just sounds like, and just based on, what I've seen and heard, like you got to honestly be their best friend. I mean,
got some good questions.
Yeah. So you worked in the Dominican.
Yes.
All right. Well, I've seen all these crazy videos and stuff, but there's so much talent in the DR.
Yes.
Like, what was that like?
Yeah. So really, it doesn't do it justice unless you actually go and see how good some of these players are. And there's a lot of views that are skewed on what goes on down there. And I can tell you firsthand, there's trainers that they train the kids and they get signed to major league teams and they get a large percentage. So a lot of people are like, wow, that's way too much money. They're taking it away from these young kids that are 15 or 16. But on the other hand, what these people are doing as trainers, and they're basically representing them. They're training them, they're housing them, they're feeding them, they're getting them their equipment, so they will go out and recruit these kids with talent that they may not even have shoes. Like they're just out there, swinging a broomstick and hitting bottle caps and throwing, playing catch. And they just see a bunch of talent. So they take these kids in and they basically house them, feed them, get them all their equipment, train them for years in hopes of them signing a professional contract. And the parents a lot of times are okay with them going with this stranger to train somewhere that could be hours away at 12, 13 years old, sometimes 11. Wow. Because the life that they have is just, it's very poor. They don't have a future. There's no way for them to really get out of that rut. And so these kids, they have this burden of responsibility at like age 13 or 14 to be able to provide for their entire family and hopefully sign. And a majority of the players that sign there with a major league team, as soon as they get their signing mode, they're like building a house for their family. They're taking that money and building a house for their family so they can have a roof over their head and a mattress and a bed and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see that. And then you see these kids that, they sign for a lot of money and they sign for millions. And then they get to the Major League Academy, where I was fortunate enough to work with Jeff Deskin there as an intern for him. And it's almost like they're not as motivated, a lot of them sometimes, because they've already made it. They were able to have their dream. Their dream is not necessarily to be in the big leagues at that age. It's, how can I get my family out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah, how can I have a house so that, we can live in forever? And it's just a completely different perspective. And they, some of them do have this even bigger dream to make it to the United States and play in the major leagues. But it varies. And sometimes them signing that big bonus that was them making it, and that was their number one goal. And now they have to go to a Major League Academy there. All 30 Major League teams have their academy there.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have to mold these kids that never really played organized baseball. They don't know what a cutoff man is. They just know they have to throw 90-something across the diamond. They have to throw 90-something from the outfield. They need to run fast. They need to hit the ball far. They need to hit the ball hard. And now they have to mold these athletes into baseball players, because they were just basically in a practice setting for years with that trainer, but they do take a lot of at-bats off pitchers. Mm-hmm. A lot of live at-bats off pitchers. They'll have their live at-bats before they sign with the major league team. And that's why a lot of them are so talented with the bat, because they're seeing pitchers, 10, 20 at-bats a day sometimes. And all those things obviously, helps them sign professionally. But it's a different dynamic, and it's interesting. The goal setting is different.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely tell baseball is a culture there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard the same thing as you said. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, you can't really grasp it unless you're there. But I always see, and I think we've all seen some of these videos of some of these kids training over there. Those kids, I mean, I don't know if I've seen someone in the U.S. train as hard as I've seen some of these kids. Right. Now, granted, they're small clips, but it's unreal, the passion around baseball in the DR.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jake?
So I feel like as an agent, you go through a lot of emotions. So when you're at your lowest, what motivates or inspires you to keep on going?
It's a good question. So my mindset is always, I don't lose, I learn. And
there you go.
That's something that I live and die by. Sometimes things don't work out, but you learn from it, and you have to be accountable and understand, like, maybe there was something you could do better. Maybe there was not, but it's not the end of the world. And my mindset is the players that are going to stick with me for the long haul, they're going to be there, and they know how much I care about them. And the ones that are not, I can't control that. You can't control what other people are going to do or the actions they're going to take. And obviously in my industry, it's really tough, so I also have to understand the character of the players that I'm dealing with, right? Like, what is it that is important to me? Some players just want someone to send them their equipment and not talk to them ever, right? Not call them ever. That's not the way I am. So I know sometimes if I'm interviewing with a player that I want to take on, that, okay, this might not be a fit. So at the lowest of lows, I always just try to learn something from it. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience that I didn't take something really good away from.
I mean, today, youth baseball sports is insane.
Yeah.
Like, the competitive level, the talent's better probably than ever. We have a lot more knowledge and tools at our disposal. But what would you say to parents that, or that have, like these two? I mean, Jake's 12, Lila's 14. But, what would you say to parents out there now that is constantly focused on getting their kid drafted? What would be your message?
I would say just continue to work and play games. Play games. Don't worry necessarily about being on the top travel team. You need game reps. You can train all you want, but you need to be able to perform in the game. And it's great to go to a hitting lesson. It's great to go to lift weights and get stronger. All those things are great, but we have to translate those things to the game. and we have to understand how to play the game. And I think that's where we're kind of getting away from a lot of things right now in youth baseball, where we're worried about winning this championship and a kid's arm is at their disposal and he ends up getting hurt and his growth plates aren't the same. And later on, he doesn't have a real career in baseball because, we're just focused on, we got to win this championship. So I would almost tell kids like your guys' age, I would say, play on a team that you can play every game. It doesn't have to be the best team, but play on a team you can play every game. You can play freely and you can learn, because it makes no sense to be on a team that it's the best team in the country and you play 2 innings at shortstop at the end of the game and you get 1 at bat. And you're paying $2,000-$3,000 to travel somewhere and you get 4 at bats on a weekend. I'd rather be on the worst team in that tournament and get my 12 at bats and have those experiences, because in life, experience is everything. And the more at bats you have, the better. I mean, Bryce Harper, I read something about on Sports Illustrated about him years ago. He used to play like 150 games a year. And granted, he was a superstar, but people don't realize 150 games at that age. He was so advanced. He saw so many pitches. He saw so many things. He worked his tail off, but played a lot of games. He had a lot of game action, and that's the problem I think right now is just we're worried about being on the best team and winning the tournament and, splitting all your at bats, and you get 3 at bats a whole weekend. What have you really learned, splitting time and being on the bench? You got to be on the field and get your experience. And the same thing once college comes, go somewhere you're going to play, get 100 at bats your first year, wherever you can get 100 at bats your freshman year of college. That's where you need to be, because those experiences was going to help you grow and play the game, because, you can hit as good as you want in the cage. You can throw the best bullpens, but if it doesn't translate to the field, it's not going to help you. And those training environments are not the same as playing in games. And that's what I was saying earlier about the kids in Dominican. They see a lot of live at-bats. They take a lot of live ground balls off hitters. Everything they do, it's tailored to the game, but the only thing that they're missing is their fundamentals, like the plays they need to make and throwing the cutoff. So here it's kind of the opposite. We have the structure to play games and the structure to do things. Sometimes we get caught up and we got to be on the best team. We're in the 8U championship team and we won the championship, but my kid only played 2 innings. That's not going to help a player.
I completely agree. Lila, Jake, how many at bats do you guys normally get during tournaments? 3 games, 4 games?
4 games, probably like 5 or 6.
Hold on. In 4 games, you get 5 or 6 at bats? Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's not bad, because it's hard for them to turn over the lineup.
Yeah.
At that age.
We have a lot of players on our team.
Yeah. I mean, if you're batting 10, it's hard to get. So that's not bad at all. 5 or 6 at bats is not bad at all for that many.
Yeah,
games.
and in some tournaments you're batting all. So I mean, if you've got 12 kids in a lineup, they're all batting. So
yeah.
Jake, what about you?
9 or 10.
9 or 10.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's important.
Yeah.
You got to get game reps, man. It's so important to understand the plays of the game. You really have to understand that, what the pitcher's doing, your timing, seeing the ball, hitting the ball. There's a lot that goes into that for me, and I think games are key.
Yeah, I think that's the same in life, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of kids come out of college, but they haven't had real life experience yet. And, that's a big change. JUCO is going to change probably the dynamic a lot too, right? Because now if you go to JUCO, junior college, you still have your 4 years of eligibility left, potentially in a D1 school or any college school for that matter.
That's what you're saying.
The coach I interviewed when I was at dinner.
Yep.
Yeah, but he doesn't think it's gonna happen.
Well, you don't think it's going to get approved?
Mm-mm. He doesn't think that.
I don't know why. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, there's positives and there's negatives. I'm in the middle on it. It makes me happy for the players that need the at bats, like we're talking about, and the development. But then it takes away from the high school player, because now all the 4-year schools are going to go after a 2-year JUCO player that's older and experienced, and then Jake misses out. So.
And I've heard the same with the transfer portal.
Yes.
The transfer portal is taken away from recruiting as well.
Yeah. So that's that's kind of the downfall of it. But we'll see what happens. They're going to do what they want to do, and we're going to roll with it. It's been a lot of changes the last 5 years, and it's impacted a lot of players. The draft has been shortened to 20 rounds, and that's impacted a lot of players too. A lot of college players that should have been drafted when it was 40 rounds. You know, that's 600 less players that are drafted every year.
Wow.
So
when did that change happen?
That was 3 years ago.
3 years.
Yeah. So 2020 was a 5-round draft. Actually, it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. 2020 was a 5-round draft, and 2021 was the first 20-round draft. And
COVID. We blame COVID.
Yeah, they did, and they ran.
We just want to blame COVID for everything.
Yeah,
Lila, you struck out. COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
COVID.
I know it. I know. Jake, you gave up that home run. COVID.
Right.
I'm gonna be telling my kids, like, when they're like, oh, yeah, I can't go out with my friends. Come on, I'm gonna be like, I couldn't go out with my friends for 2 whole years.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah.
No complaining.
Crazy times.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Crazy.
All right. Well, like, I can't imagine. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question, but like, I mean, the world of MLB, I have to imagine that's pretty chaotic. What do you think about how the game has changed over the last? I mean, I feel like, well, when I was growing up in '80s, baseball seemed different to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think about the change of MLB over the last, let's just say 5 to 6 years? Where do you see the game going?
Well, you see, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, analytics was like king. It was taking over. The pitchers were very far ahead. Now I think the hitters are catching up. But now I'm also seeing that scouting is starting to look at more contact percentage at the plate. They're looking at guys that make more contact and also have power, that don't strike out a lot. So I think the hitters, it's kind of reverting back. We're not looking for just power hitters that hit balls over the fence. And I think that's definitely impacted the draft, and it's impacted how teams are giving long-term deals to players. And the Juan Soto and the players that are getting these big contracts because they don't strike out a lot. They put the ball in play a lot. And I think it's definitely reverting back to a more contact-oriented hitter plus power. And where 5 years ago it was like, we just want the guy that hits all the home runs, and if he strikes out 200 times, it's fine. And so I think that's changing, and I think analytics and scouting is kind of working together now, where there was a point there that analytics was like everything, and teams were just looking at the model of that they were crunching numbers and who's the best player we should sign. Should it be this person or that person? And it was based off of the computer. And now they're looking at a lot of different factors. They're looking at the character of the players even more, I think, too. There's a lot more visibility and social media and all that to see what players
That's a good question. So as an agent, how does social media play a role into your life as an agent?
Honestly, it's really important because of visibility. People want to see what I'm doing. People want to see the players that I'm helping, and it's a big thing. It's honestly,
and you're probably for future potential clients, you're probably looking at their social media.
Yes, definitely. And seeing what they're doing, seeing if they're posting things late at night that they shouldn't be. And the major league teams look at all that stuff. They look at all those things. And it's really important. I tell guys to be careful what you're posting, and because everything's out there, and once it's out there, it's out there. And that's something that I would tell the youth. Be careful what we're taking pictures of and sending to who you're sending. I mean, it might not be a bad thing, and it might be something that it's not a big deal, but they might show the wrong person and they make a different view about it, and you can be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. It's a dangerous game.
Absolutely.
It is. I mean, and social media is a catch-22. It's like there's so much benefit to it where it helps us, and it helps us connect with individuals like you, and helps me connected with these kids. But at the same point in time, like, you've got to be careful. Some people are keyboard warriors, and they tend to want to say too much that might come back.
Right. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Lila, what you got?
So, wait, hold on. I forgot. Go to Jake real quick. I forgot. I had one.
Jake. No, you're good. Jake.
Have you ever wanted to get a client or an MLB player that was like on the top of your list, but you didn't get?
Yes, yes. And I've also had a player that I had and I lost that was very, very high level and probably be a first round pick. So it happens, and it could be for different reasons. Sometimes the coaches have influence on what's going on, but again, like I said, you learn and you don't lose, you learn, and you try to just keep moving forward with the guys, the army that I have, and those guys appreciate everything I do, and you never know. Players sometimes come back too. I had a player that I acquired that he went with another agent years ago, and then he called me a year later, or no, probably 2 years later, and I ended up taking him back as a client because he wasn't getting the same attention. So I just stick to the things that I know and stick to the things I'm good at, and I don't change just because I lost a guy. And people take that as a failure. Like I said, I take it as a learning. I learned and try to get better every day.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I would
cool.
have to imagine it's like, does our personalities click? Like it's like dating almost. Like, do we click together?
Right.
Do I serve their needs? And
Yep.
sorry, sometimes I just throw up random stuff out of the
Like
blue.
word vomit.
Yeah.
Say everything he thinks.
Yeah.
See, Lila, go ahead. You just go ahead.
All right, so I want to know, is there any way as an agent to anticipate if a player is going to be like a big thing or if they're just going to be a complete bust?
There's no way to anticipate. You're only going after players that you feel can be major leaguers, and it can vary. I mean, I've had players that I didn't think they were a high prospect, and then they completely turned it around. But I saw something in them, and their work ethic is what really what I gravitate towards, and their character and how bad they want it. So it's really.
When you say character, what do you like? Let's frame that up for
Mhm.
everyone. Like, what's character mean?
How you act on the field, the things that you do, your personality, the way you interact with your teammates, all of those things are so important, and they're watching those things. I'm watching those things when you're on the field, like your body language, how you're treating your teammates, are you blaming them for making an error, and oh, that's your fault, man, you should have made that play, and you should do this and you should do that, and all those things are super, super important. And you have to analyze those things because the game only gets harder. And if they can't handle failure at a young age, they're not going to be able to handle it at the major league level.
Yeah, I couldn't agree even more. And that's what, I say this all the time on the show. I know everybody gets tired of probably hearing me say it, but the game's hard. And if you don't stay in love with the game, it won't be worth it to you. Like when it does get really hard. So, Jake, you still love the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think you're going to end up on this gentleman's radar at some point in time, you think?
I mean, yeah, if I work harder.
Oh, you got to work harder?
Well, if I work more.
Oh, okay. Well, tell him about, if you had to give him your scouting report. Lila be thinking about this. He's an agent now. If you had to give him your scouting report on your abilities, what would you tell him? I'm putting him on the spot right now, Joe.
God. Receiving and blocking as a catcher. Wait, is that scouting? Can that be scouting?
Yeah, I mean, what's your strengths?
Hitting against fast pitchers and then locating pitches. And yeah. I mean,
Okay.
as an outfielder, I can track balls good.
Okay.
What would your teammates say about you?
Ooh.
You can't be like,
That I cheer a lot. Well, not cheer, but say stuff when my teammates are hitting to like give them confidence and stuff.
Okay.
That's good.
And yeah, I don't really do anything much else.
Well, you probably do. You just probably don't recognize it at the moment.
If I saw you
Yeah.
play, I'd be able to tell you more.
Yeah. So Jake's a pitcher.
I watch all those things. Body language. When you strike out, what are you doing? Are you pouting? When someone hits a home run off you on the mound, are you crying about it? Are you blaming the
That
catcher?
happens to Jake a lot. So you'll get a lot of information there.
See, Jake, you just walked into this. You're a part of the Lions Den now, buddy.
But there's a difference. So if it's competitive, then it's fine. If you're mad about it and you're competitive, it's fine. If you're making excuses for it or blaming your teammates or blaming your coach for calling a certain pitch, that's something we wouldn't want to see. If you're upset about
or blaming the umpire.
Yeah, or blaming the umpire if you're upset about it, and that's something different, So that's what we say about characters is how you react to a situation. How do you act on the field and your makeup, right? Like what are you gonna do when things go bad?
Yeah, I mean, me being a Miami Dolphins fan, Lila, here we go. I got to see an example of the worst sportsmanship ever this past weekend. Jake, you're shaking your head. You must have saw this. Tyreek quit on the team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, dude, he was one of my favorite players before that. But I honestly, I don't even want to have anything to do with the dude anymore. If that's who you are, come on, dude. Anyway.
Right, but if you really dig deeper, that he's had other issues off the field too. So
you never know when he's going to get suspended from hitting somebody.
You start to make connections. These are the things that I look at, right? Is when I talk to the major league organization about a player, what are they saying about him? When I talk to his own teammates that I might have a client that plays with him, what are they saying about him? All of those things are super important when I'm making decisions on whether I want to take a client on or not. I don't go solely based off talent because of that, because I don't want a player it's going to have issues off the field and really is not focused on the game and loves the game and respects the relationship that I have with him as well. So all those things, they tie in together, man. You start to see it.
Yeah, it's just when it's going to show back up.
Right.
Lila, what's your scouting report? Tell us your positions first. I should have did this with Jake, but
so
I
play.
And what do you think?
Catcher, second, short, and then just anywhere in the outfield. So I play a lot of positions. I'm mainly a catcher. I'm really good at blocking. I'm also good at reading the spin on pitches when I'm hitting. Put a lot of balls in play. Swing hard. I got a good work ethic. And I just play the hardest I can all the time.
That's good. That's what you want to hear. Give your best effort every day. You never know when it's going to be your last day playing baseball, so you got to give it your all.
Yeah. So Jake and I, we learned about elevator speech in ABCA and being able to have an elevator speech about something. And I think that's important. Like, be able to tell someone like what your strengths are. And even, I think, Joe, even admitting a little bit of some of your opportunities and, what you're doing to overcome those, right? I mean, because everyone's got those.
Yeah, absolutely. You're always going to go through adversity. And luckily, I had baseball in my life, right? And I played baseball, so I understand those things better once I was out of baseball. And now I'm obviously in baseball in a different way. But all those things are super important. And you just grow. You grow and you have to get better. And I have to get better. Every day I have to get better. I'm thinking of ways I'm going to get better and things that I can do to help my clients and how can I make them better and how can I help them develop further and get them to the major leagues and be part of their stories. It's not, you can't just sit there and pout when you don't get the player that you want, right? So it takes time. You got to work hard and you'll eventually get to the goals that you want.
Yeah. I mean, you guys see that, right? So we talk about hustle and grind, like players have got to hustle and grind. Like I have to hustle and grind.
Right.
And Joe, like he has to give his time and energy at every level, man. And when you're an adult, hustle and grind.
Yep.
That's what it's about.
No, it's important, man. I mean, I've done 8-hour driving one way and drive back the same day, 7.5 hours.
Oh my gosh, I'm tired for you on that one.
Yeah, and just things like that. It's like sometimes I'm like, this is nuts, but hey, I gotta try, I gotta do it, and my players appreciate it. I do whatever I can to help my players and help them further develop and be there for them. That means a lot. That means a lot more than the glove that you send them or the bats that you send them once they're in pro ball. Like those little things, they remember them forever.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, do coaches like to see you show up, or are coaches like, I don't want to talk to him again?
It depends. You have relations with different coaches. Some coaches,
love-hate, I guess.
Yeah, well, some coaches have relations with certain agents, and I'm always cordial with everyone, and kind of leave it at that. But it really just depends. You're closer to some than others, just like anything else. But most coaches are pretty open to it because it's pretty common when a player's, where they're in college, they're used to seeing guys around.
Jake, Lila, what do you think about being an agent? What do you think the life would be like?
Busy.
Busy. Yeah. Like, does it sound fun?
Yeah, it sounds fun, but I feel like it'd be very time consuming.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
It is.
Lifestyle. Well, look, Joe, man, I want to tell you, man, thank you so much for hopping on with us.
It was awesome.
Yeah, can't let you go, though. We got our last question that we always got to ask. But before we get to that question, I just want to check in with these two to see if they had any final questions they wanted to ask you before we let you go.
Okay.
You guys have anything?
Good.
No.
Jake, you ain't got a curveball for him? That's good. That's good. Jake sometimes will throw a curveball, but, he's resting his arm today. I wore him out too much in D.C. So. All right, Joe. Well, here's our last question, man.
Okay.
And, Jake, I'm going to let you frame it up, okay?
Okay.
Right.
It's Game 7 of the World Series, bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, and it's your last game ever. What's your walk-up song?
That's tough. Probably Eye of the Tiger.
That's a
Can't
good
go
one.
wrong with that.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good stuff.
And I'm
like
pinch
that
hitting
song?
Barry Bonds in for me to win the game.
Yeah.
Greatest hitter of all time for me.
I know.
As he's walking up, just hand him the bat when he's walking behind you.
He's got it.
You're like, you get into the plate and you're like, you know what? Never mind. Let me get it.
You're like, oh, no. Here you go.
Absolutely.
And then we talk about contact hitters. I mean, Bonds. Growing up, I was a big Canseco fan. All right. And Canseco was notorious for striking out.
Yep.
And I used to read the back of those cards and I would look, 150, 160 strikeouts.
Yep.
But now, like I look at some of these dudes and they're at 200, 220. And I'm
That's
like, I used to think Canseco struck out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy cow, some of these dudes strike out a lot.
Yeah.
But I like that you said that MLB is going more towards a contact hitter with power.
Because the pitchers are getting better. You gotta combat that some way. So
you got to be able to hit the ball where it's pitched, and that doesn't always mean over the fence.
Right.
So all right. Mm-hmm. Look, thank you guys again. We're in season 4 now. We wouldn't be here without you guys. Again, make sure to go like, subscribe, leave us a review. Leave us a review, and if you leave a question in that review, we will read that here on the show for you. So go give us 5-star reviews, of course, because, Lila, we deserve it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think, Jake, we deserve a 5-star?
Yeah.
I agree. So go give us a 5-star review, leave a question. We'll talk about it on the show, answer your question. But make sure to recommend us to friends, family, everyone you see at the ballpark. And if there's that kid out there, maybe it's yours, maybe you see this kid play. But if you think they have a story to tell, send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. So anyway, Lila, I'll turn it over to you, ma'am.
All right. Until next time, Joe.
We'll catch you on the slide.
There we go.
Thanks for joining the action and sharing our love for the game. Now go practice your swing, or at least look like a pro in the mirror. Subscribe and follow the Slide Podcast and the Field Team on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all your favorite social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review, a thumbs up, and recommend us to every person you meet. Got a question? Drop it in your review. We might just answer it on the podcast. Keep grinding, dreaming big, and remember, there's nothing you can't accomplish. Till next time, we'll catch you on the